Welcome back. You're listening to Home Wizards. I'm Cindy Dole.
Hey, I'm Eric Stromer.
And you are growing tomatoes right now.
I am growing. Boy, they're going great.
They're going
too.
great?
Yes.
We could all...
I will tell you, though.
Yeah.
I did have leaf miners, which
Uh-huh.
are the little white sort of line that shows up on the leaves. So here's what I did.
What?
I plucked off the leaves,
Okay.
and they're gone.
So here's a tip.
Yeah.
Did you know that aspirin, like plain old aspirin,
Yeah.
giving that to your tomatoes is not only going to help people with, preventing heart attacks.
Well, anti-inflammation, too.
It's going to help your tomatoes ward off this actual fungal disease known as blight.
Is that right?
Which is something you don't want to have.
No.
And the blight thing is a tomato killer.
It wipes the crops out in 3 or 4 days, doesn't it?
It's awesomely bad. And so what you want to do is you dissolve 250 to 500 milligrams of aspirin in a little spray bottle of water. And what you would do is then you would spritz like 3 times a month your tomato plants with this aspirin. And what it will do is it will prevent, they did research on this, it will prevent any signs of blight ever. It's the acid in the aspirin.
Salicylic acid for aspirin. Yeah.
So that's it. Make sure if you have some aspirin in your medicine cabinet, get some of that, mix it with one in a little water bottle, spritz
Let it dissolve. Yeah.
Do it.
All right, that's a great idea.
But there's so many other techniques because I know you are great. You've planted your tomatoes. I'm planting some tomatoes this weekend as well. But then once you plant them, I mean, there's little tips and techniques to make them more successful. I mean, when you go to the grocery store, even sometimes the farmer's market, the difference that some tomatoes just aren't that great.
No, there's no question.
So there's a reason that, it isn't easy to always have outstanding tomatoes. But here's one of the tips. Do you have 6 hours of full sunlight?
I have even more.
Okay.
Almost too much, I got to tell you.
You need to have a minimum of 6 hours of full sun. Otherwise, you're not going to have great tomatoes.
No, you're not.
You can rotate your veggies also, right? Don't forget
you know what it is? It's the main thing in terms of rotation is to amend the soil or change the soil environment, because what happens is that you develop and pests evolve. And the
nutrients go away.
And the nutrients go away, and that soil then is not supporting the growth of the plant. That's the most important
Amending
thing.
the soil. So you can amend the soil, or you can rotate your veggies to other locations.
Right.
Because
or you can go container if you're concerned.
But amend the soil and then move it to another location. There's a reason. I mean, wouldn't you be bored if you're in the same location if you were a tomato? But amending the soil will help. And the idea is there's certain products out there. There's something called Black Cow. Now, I haven't tried this yet, but I hear that it's so great because it's full of compost and all these goodies. It's almost like chocolate for tomatoes.
Oh, yeah.
And you
can tell when you put your hands in it. It's just so alive. It's amazing.
And it's going to you're going to blend it into the soil, and you will be so thankful. And by the way, you can also use something called garden soil. There's certain brands. Miracle Grow makes one of them, but they are basically soil for edibles. And that has all kinds of nutrients, and it's like a salad bar for the tomatoes.
Yeah.
So get bags of that. These are going to make you like the best tomato grower on the block, we promise.
And now I just went through this yesterday. I was looking at bagged soil in the big box store, and they have these gradients of soil, so you can get the cheapest one.
And you didn't get the cheapest, I hope.
No, it's potting soil, which basically is just
that's okay for some
things. It's just for
things.
Plants or topsoil, right?
But for tomatoes and edibles,
you kind of go up in terms of, it's about $1 difference per bag as you go more and more deeper into the real heavy, rich stuff that you want for vegetables and fruit.
Did the bag say best for edibles and veggies?
Yes, it does. It does say that. So make sure you look at the little icon on the bag, because there's so many different choices that it gets overwhelming, right? And then you'll always have your guys that walk through these departments and go, boy, I'm from the Bahamas, and here's what we use: chicken manure.
Right. Well,
and it works. Though.
I know.
I mean, you can buy that in bags, or steer manure, and that really helps out too.
It totally does.
With the nutrient-rich stuff.
Yeah, and then so make sure you don't get potting soil. So that was smart of you. In the big box store, get gardening soil, or it'll say for edibles, and make sure too. You can also add all kinds of things to your soil, like crushed eggshells.
Now, what does that do?
Crushed eggshells provide the tomatoes with all kinds of goodies like calcium.
Oh.
The calcium in the eggshells gets right into the roots and into the stems. And so, like, if you have yellowing tomato plants, that means, guess what? Just like people who turn yellow, they have issues, health issues.
Sure.
That means that the tomato is low on calcium.
Oh.
And so, but if you buy a bunch of eggs, you're making, a Sunday brunch, save the eggshells, right? Make your egg salad sandwich that you love, but save the shells and put those, save them in a baggie, and then you want to make sure that you can turn the eggshells, water them and cool them off, and then water the tomato plants and add those darn shells.
And those eggshells are good to prevent snails, too. They don't like crawling over the difficult surface.
Too crunchy for them.
Yeah, they don't like it. It's like barbed wire for snails.
Yeah. And also worm castings. Have you ever seen these bags of worm castings? You kind of, what the heck? But if you sprinkle a handful of, kind of icky, but the worm castings, that also will be just like a major vitamin boost, or bone meal. Some of these things, like you say, the guys from the Bahamas or whoever, in the aisle were giving you some of these tidbits. These are really great tricks.
Yeah, I just love that whole that sort of feeling of everyone's in this together. Whenever you're like looking for stuff, I always find these angels in garden sections that, some lady who's like 90 will be like, I got an idea. Here's what you need to do, and then people kind of open it up to discussion. It's really you. I sometimes find that you're going to get more information just from the people shopping than the people who are employed there.
Because you're with other garden aficionados and lovers.
Yeah, exactly.
Make sure, by the way, that you wait for the soil to be warm to plant your tomatoes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you mean in terms of
the soil itself, you want it to be
getting
warm.
It warmed up.
Yeah, because otherwise, if the soil is cool, that's not great.
Well, how would you like to be plunged in the first thing in the morning in a tub of cold water?
I know,
Forget it.
I know. And you want to make sure, if you are just now beginning to plant your tomatoes, dig a really deep, deep hole for each tomato plant, because it needs that space, for the roots to grow.
Yeah, and you want the compaction to be at a minimum, so you really want to open up the aeration of the soil itself. So the deeper you go, the better for the soil.
Have you also? It's going to give you better roots, better plants, better tomatoes. And while you're doing that, after you have planted them, you said that you took off some of the bad leaves with that disease,
leaf miner,
right?
Yeah.
Just pinch and clip off all the layers of the leaves as you're first planting your tomato. Here's a trick. You pinch or clip off all the leaves except for the top 1 or 2 layers. And you know what that's going to do? It's going to give it more energy to focus on the tomatoes.
Then they're not focusing on the dead weight.
We don't want to do
That's like your bad stepbrother Don, who's not contributing anything. You get rid of him. He's gone. He's dead weight.
And then you have a more chance to really bury the tomato deep into the soil, so the roots are going to grow super strong, and all those little hairy things growing on the stems are going to grow into roots, when it's planted better.
I think that might be why mine are doing exceptionally well this season, because I did clip off all the dead leaves, and I think it made a huge difference.
You gave it a fighting chance.
Yeah.
Don't forget to remove the weeds on a daily basis, too. Don't let any of those get out of control, because, again, now it's fighting. It's all about, it's like a battle on the freeway.
And also, I got to tell you, that drip system is working wonders, because you're systemically watering at the base of the plant, not getting the leaves wet over and over again. I think it really makes a huge difference.
And if you don't have that, a soaker hose is a great idea too, because it's going to deliver about a pint of water a day to each plant, and that's what it needs. Plenty of water. That's one of the things people forget. And remember to water when it's cool, not in the heat of the day.
Right.
That's one of the other things that a lot of times people think, I'm gonna water my tomatoes in the late afternoon. Water in the morning, and always underneath the tomato plants.
Right.
Don't use a sprinkler of water from above.
That's my point about the drip system.
Because you know why? If the tomato plant is left wet, it's going to be prone to disease.
That's it.
It's going to get mushy.
Because that's where all the bugs are going to show up.
I know. We don't want to have that happen.
No way.
Also, make sure that not only are you watering regularly, but you're going deep with the soaker. And have you grown or planted marigolds with the tomatoes?
Well, that's supposed to help with the pests.
It's going to keep them away.
Yeah, and I think I want to do that.
They don't like the odor of the flowers. It's going to look pretty for you. It's going to keep the pests away. All right. Eric Stromer, Cindy Dole, good luck with your tomatoes. You can check out all the information, as always, at yourhomewizards.com. We love to improve your home and improve your life.
I'll light the fire while you place the flowers in the vase that you bought today.